Have you ever read The Megalomaniacal Spider-Man? Ooh, what a word. Megalomaniacal. Say that 5 times. So this comic book was published in 2002, and you might be asking yourself, what is megalomaniacal? Well, it's an adjective that describes megalomania. What is megalomania? Megalomania is a psychological condition that involves delusions of grandeur, or to put it more blatantly, someone who exhibits an extreme craving for power and the belief of their own superiority. So this comic book, set in 1968, shows Peter sort of, he's been Spider-Man for a few years, and here he's dating Gwen Stacy. Not a huge fan of the art, but if you've never read the story, you really should, just because it gives you another sort of perspective of what could have gone wrong with Peter Parker. So here, Gwen is sort of implying that she would rather spend the night with Peter, and Peter doesn't seem to take the hint. So here, the next day, we see him fighting some of the classic villains, right? We see Mysterio, we see Doctor Doom, we see Kraven the Hunter, the Goblin, Doc Ock, and eventually he's had enough. He's done. I quit. I'm done. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of always giving myself to everyone else, and everybody else just seems to complain, whine. I'm just done. So fast forward to 1984, Peter now owns Spider-Man Inc. So what he does, he takes his alternate ego persona and sort of puts it on for sale. Here we see him really being absolutely cruel and brutal to Betty Brant and J. Jonah Jameson. And it's not a very humorous comic. In fact, it's very good about why we're glad Spider-Man is who he really is. But the next day we see Peter at home, and he's got to receive an award from President Ronald Reagan because it's 1984. And he's like, oh my goodness, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I can't take care of myself. So then he convinces his assistant, Joe Jonah Jameson, to wear the costume because he needs someone who looks in better shape. And so here we see that J. Jonah Jameson is wearing the costume. But the next day, as he's standing up there to receive an award, somebody tries to assassinate the president, and Spider-Man takes the bullet. Fast forward, we see Peter. He's living in a really dump, and someone's there to interview him about how he knows about Spider-Man and the death of Spider-Man, right? The 15th anniversary, so this must be 1999. And at the very end, Peter's like, here's my story, read it all. But at the end, the guy says, this ain't worth my time. I'm not going to read all this crap. Sort of what happens when you live a life like that, right? So in other words, we are very grateful Spider-Man is who he is and not a megalomaniacal person.